YouTubeages. Looks like everything's coming up. Audio's there. Très magnifique. System's up and running. Turn this so if somebody chimes in and wants to say hello, and there we are. So,
hey Facebook,
how's it going, folks?
You look a lot like Darth Vader's child today.
Yeah.
No, actually, Darth Vader did have children.
Yeah, and only
but not
only
the
took
machine,
one of them.
the one that flew. You know,
that one. Yeah.
Had all the arms.
Yeah, that's pretty spot on for baby version.
Yeah.
It's pretty much there. You guys are looking good though, man.
I wish the camera could show itself to Facebook.
Yeah, unlike the light that cannot shed light on its power source, neither can the camera reflect on its selfness.
Or the tree that can't hear itself fall in the woods.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the summation of the afternoon we've had. It's very philosophic so far.
Yes, we started out with sushi and coffee and sake.
Yep. Which were all
not
wonderful.
In that order.
No.
And not everybody had the same thing.
No. I was mostly focused on the one, while you were focused on the other. With
two.
But yeah. But between us, we took it all down. Nicely done.
Yeah.
And a debt of gratitude already. This is a better place to start. Dan Reeder. It's on the screen behind you. I wasn't calling you Dan Reeder. Sorry, Facebook. I have never heard Dan Reeder before, and
one of my favorite songwriters. I love listening to the guy when nobody's around.
I am immediately enamored. Tell us some Dan Reeder stories. Or explain yourself for not sharing this with me sooner. One or the other.
It's relatively new to me.
Sweet.
A good friend of mine, Nick Bibry, turned me on to it the other day. He said, "Alexa, play songs by Dan Reeder." And Kung Fu is my fighting style came up. And I went, what? You know,
yeah, just like I did.
Yeah. And so yeah, thanks, Nick. And
yeah, thank you. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Dan Reeder.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to go Google that guy. He's on John Prine's Oh Boy Records. You can find him on the internets relatively easily. The first 8 or 12 comebacks on the searches are him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been listening to while we were setting up, which has been awesome. So thanks again for the introduction to that.
Hey, you're so welcome.
And I don't like facing the camera, so I'm not going to. I'm going to face you instead.
Okay.
Yeah, so that being... Talking about Dan Reeder, that's awesome. But for those people who haven't met you and aren't looking at us on Facebook that are our mutual friends, Mr. Justin Fobes, we've worked together. You're a musician, songwriter, and have lived in this area for a hot minute.
Right.
But other than that, I don't want to fuck up your bio. So
no, it's cool.
Explain yourself, man.
I'm kind of a guy that hangs out locally. You can find me by the dumpster at Circle K.
Between what hours?
Oh man, if I had to pin it down, I'd say usually between 12 a.m. and 12 a.m. the next day.
Gotcha. In your time of need, that's the time frame.
Well, in my time of dying, really. Sorry, it's my favorite. Okay, I just wanted everybody to be able to see what the camera looks like. I'm going to be able to post this later. This is what the camera looks like. It is definitely.
For those of you interested in getting one of those, and for if you're listening to this and don't know, and are interested in the tech side, it's a DJI Osmo. Which is fun. It's a great little camera. It's the one I use for the beach walks and stuff like that. But DJI makes my drone too, the Mavic. So I'm a big DJI fan. I'm
just going to post a photograph.
They do things.
That way everybody can see what we're talking about.
Yeah, you should. You should. Yeah. It's a little robot baby. I posted something yesterday. I found an article about these Segway security guards.
Really?
They're autonomous Segways that have cameras on them.
Do they fall over like presidentials or?
I don't know. I would hope not if they're securing things.
The Segways are not very safe. All we see on YouTube are people falling off of Segways and all the fails videos.
But isn't that operator error? Isn't that what makes it funny?
I don't know. I've never read a Segway.
It's not anti-robot propaganda, is it?
Have
I been misreading these videos all along?
Why would there be such a thing, Compton?
Exactly. That's why I'm thinking it's operator error.
Right, and of course, or the fact that they thought that they could get on the thing to begin with could be the operator error. You know,
Like trying to ride a horse, man. If the horse
Right.
doesn't want you to ride it, it's
right,
not happening.
right, yeah, or get it to drink, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. So
Reminds me of a Ben Harper song.
I didn't know there was a whatever Ben Harper song.
It's that one
here
I
we
think
go.
of all the time. Pretty regularly. Are you sharing things on Facebook?
Yeah, I'm about to, if I can
Awesome.
figure out how to.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll plug some stuff. Thank you guys for
Okay.
being here and sharing things. It's freaking awesome. And what else? Oh, yeah, the podcast, if you're seeing this on Facebook, the podcast is on truthloveandpeace.com. Really easy to find. And also the video cast is on YouTube on my channel. The Twitter handle is @KiltChamberlain. If anybody wants to catch up on Twitter. And that's kind of the plug portion of the show while Justin's throwing that up on Facebook. I'm trying to keep up with comments. So if anybody tosses a comment up there and wants me to pepper Fobes with some questions, I gladly will.
Okay.
Oh, look, there you are.
Yeah,
I'll have to post a photo later.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's awesome.
it won't allow me to hit the thing.
I think you should answer all of the questions through Facebook Live. Like, you should just be silent. How crazy would that be? That would be a really messed up episode. The people on the podcast would be really disappointed because they would hear nothing but my voice. They would think I made the whole thing up. It'd be like Orson Welles doing the reading. Like, this guy just makes up guests and claims they're posting to the
That's
Facebook
right.
Live feed.
Right.
Maybe we
Gotcha.
can make a character out of that. Well, at least
Yeah.
the coffee was good enough to make me think I'm funny. I have discovered how dependent I am on caffeine lately. It's been a little ridiculous.
Oh, you don't have to tell me. There's not a morning that wakes up where I don't go, okay, two things have to happen. I have to have coffee, and that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll get to the rest after that.
I can't even wake up. I can't even get out of the bed. It's not going to happen. Yeah. Coffee.
Nothing goes well until the coffee's made either.
World War II would have been lost had we not had coffee.
And that Christmas hiatus thing that happened in the trenches,
What I thought that was Vietnam.
it could have been. I could be wrong.
Right. Or is that
Was
the
it?
Chinese New Year?
That was the Tet ceasefire, the
Oh.
Chinese New Year.
When they fired.
Yeah, the Tet Offensive. That became the Tet Offensive.
Right.
Stanley Kubrick made a movie about that.
That's,
I got trolled on Facebook the other day, and this kid dropped a Stanley Kubrick reference like it was original, and I about pooped my kilt. It was the funniest thing I had ever seen. Trying to pass off a line from Full Metal Jacket as original material. I
Right,
was like,
right.
man, I would have given you so much credit for making the reference. You didn't have to try and steal
You
it.
didn't have to steal it. Oh well. You know, that's one of the things we were talking about earlier is intellectual property.
Yeah.
It's such a here. Let me put on my shields.
You should.
That is one of the things that we often overlook in music. But the other day I was covering a song and this lady, nice lady, came up and began to film me while I was in the middle of playing this song, and all of a sudden it dawned on me. I was like, wait a minute, this is probably going to go on Facebook. Am I responsible for what happens after that?
Right.
For instance, are the performing rights organizations CSAC or BMI or ASCAP going to come ask me if I had paid my dues to be able to publicize this performance? It's now
Right.
got thousands of performances.
Right.
What is my defense at that point? At that point, I have to ask the venue, like, hey, did you guys get this covered? You know, are you guys paying your dues? I didn't even know. I just went and sat down and played the guitar and started singing.
Yeah.
A song that I've heard a million times in my lifetime, probably because I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But I memorized it, and I began to play it. So, well, at that point in time, I didn't know, where is this going to end up on the internet, and is this a performance that winds up being chartable? You know?
Right.
And and then collected upon. And just by my saying it on this video right now probably means that it is, and they're going to come find me and say, hey, wait a minute, what song was that?
Yeah.
And at that point in time, I'll say, I made the whole thing up.
It's a sham.
It is. It's a fundamental problem that we have in this digital age. Intellectual property is something that is now easily, very easily, copied and shared to millions.
Right.
So, given that, where is the value in something that is no longer scarce? Scarcity, as we all learn in Economics 101, which I took, is the thing that drives up value. For without scarcity, there's no value.
If you buy into economics.
Oh, right. And I don't believe in the tooth fairy either.
Like we could just dismiss all of it.
Yeah, just...
No, yeah, okay, so...
The economics
scarcity,
fairy...
yes. Markets drive populist demand, supply.
Yeah, supply and demand. So if there's too much supply, then there's too little demand, and therefore there's no value. If there's not a lot of supply and there's more demand, then of course the value rises to meet the demand.
Right.
So now there is no scarcity in intellectual property because people can just simply, pass it off as their own. Like you were talking about your friend who quoted the movie, and it wasn't really his quote. It was just something he heard in a movie once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If he got paid for that, I would be so mad. I'd be like, you can't.
Well,
that's not okay.
Now there's so much content being generated since everybody's got a content generator in their cell phone.
Right. Look at how good we are at generating content.
That's right. So now that everybody has access to a content generator, now the content is beginning to proliferate, and propagate the entire internets and interwebs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as a result, we have less and less scarcity on intellectual property.
Mm-hmm. It's fascinating for a couple of reasons, because it raises the significance of motion and how you go. It puts an emphasis on not so much the idea, like we were talking about earlier. Nobody can. Ideas are prolific, like you said, and a lot of people have them. But it's what you do with that idea that implies ownership. And then we were talking also about how. Control and ownership intersect, and how intellectual property and sovereignty as a Homo sapien intertwines. So that gets pretty deep pretty quick.
Right. Some of the examples we began to talk about are genetic manipulation.
Right. Monsanto.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about earlier.
GMOs.
Yeah.
Right. Genetically manipulated organisms. Are they property now that they are out of the control of the person who created them, like Frankenstein? Are they property at that point in time? Or as artificial intelligence now is entering the picture and becoming a citizen of the United Arab Emirates,
Mm-hmm.
a nation that used to be known as Saudi Arabia, are they... Or is AI, now that it's been made a citizen of this nation, is it now outside of the control of the people who created it?
Yeah.
And isn't that intellectual property as it was created, from the mind and dreams of
that guy with no eyebrows.
The guy with no eyebrows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, that being the case, is it possible that AI, like Frankenstein, could begin to run amok and, fireman, hurt baby, and now we've got, this thing that's, would be seemingly impervious to, as we were talking about, like denial of service attacks. Is AI going to really not be able to just go, hey, wait a minute, that's like my thing. Come on, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Or what? Where is it headed? We don't know. Is it going to become something that says, hey, you know what? I don't like Samsung. I'm going to turn off all the Samsung phones. And all of a sudden we go black. What if it decides, who knows? It's out of our control. And it's way smarter than a lot of people are willing to give it credit for. So what's the next big step? how do we, do we grab our torch and pitchforks and, go down to the castle and, climb through the moat and scale the walls? Who knows?
I wonder if we've passed that point, and where the tipping point will be in that once we go hands off, there's enough tech for the tech to further itself. Like right now, we know that we have artificial intelligence that is being programmed to replicate or create a new version of itself. And that's the first baby step in something, creating something that makes us look like chickens as far as intelligence goes. And so it's kind of a Pandora's box, but you raise a good point. What if we just went hands off now? Is there enough technology out there for it to find a way to perpetuate itself? Because there are a lot of people that think the internet is already a cloud network in a way that it could be intelligent, and if it were intelligent, why would it tell us that it was intelligent? And so maybe it's already there.
Why wouldn't it email it to somebody or something? Or
haha, I'm alive.
Yeah.
Like, where's Neo? Tap that guy on the head.
Yeah.
Follow the white rabbit.
Or email it to another supercomputer as in the form of a virus so that it could then take over that computer. And
well, that brings up Bitcoin.
Okay.
We had talked about, I'm trying to work it out in my head that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, blockchain security is in some way artificial intelligence's attempt to create a form of immune system and a natural defense. Because if your consciousness, and we were talking about the movie Chappie too, we were using that as a stand-in for autonomous intelligence and real artificial intelligence. And so if you have this robot whose consciousness can go from machine to machine, but can also exist in the cloud, how is residing in the cloud affected by ownership and affected by sentience? And how would you attack that? Well, you would have to attack it with a code of some sort. And so if I were artificial intelligence and I wanted to defend myself against some sort of code, the best thing I could come up with is these immeasurably large prime numbers to help me create some uncrackable cryptography.
Right.
I forgot how we...
I handed you cash under the table.
Yeah, that was a good example. Sorry, I heard distractions.
Yeah, we've got people arriving. But,
I get distracted easily, but that's okay.
Yeah, I handed you cash under the table and nobody knew about it except you and I.
It's cryptocurrency, man.
So it's cryptocurrency. Right?
Very, very secret cash.
Very secret cash.
Which we just admitted to it. So now the IRS is going to come.
Right.
How much money was it?
It was $5.
Not enough to worry about. Don't report us.
Yeah. If you understood how little money I make, you wouldn't even watch this. Yeah.
Don't report us. The cryptocurrency thing and the artificial intelligence and the ownership. I wonder about ownership, because at what point do you not get to own something? Sophia being granted citizenship, the UAE, implies
that's the United Arab Emirates.
I just didn't want to enunciate all that.
I
and
did.
Fuck it up.
I
Sorry.
did. Yeah. I wanted to see if I could do it, honestly.
I just practicing.
Yeah,
just practicing.
Yeah.
But is she still owned by this company? I'm sure she is. And so how do you justify that? Because if this thing is self-aware enough to be granted citizenship in such an anti-immigrant climate, where we're denying citizenship to all kinds of people for all kinds of crazy reasons, there would have to be some exceptional reason for that. And you can't claim ownership over some thing that is and has personhood, like Monsanto.
Which calls into question the rights that are afforded to corporations that are started in the United States of America. They are afforded all of the rights of a human being. As such, now we've got this artificial intelligence that's been afforded not only all the rights of a human being, but also citizenship within the United Arab Emirates, and now it's beginning to call into question, well, a great number of things. Have we worded our statutes and bylaws incorrectly regarding the governance of corporations?
Mm-hmm.
Have we, there's books on this stuff. There's something like 27,000 laws in the United States out there, so I've heard anecdotally. But as such, does that mean now we need to go through and rescan all of those to look for loopholes that now that reality has changed from the olden days when those things were invented, those laws were written and passed? Do we need to go through and reevaluate that great volume of work to determine their relevance and bearing? I mean, I know this is the realm of the judiciary wing of the government, but ultimately, who has time for all of that?
Not I.
Not me either. It's just a lot. It really is. And at this point in time, it would just seem to me that if the laws and the interpretation thereof, I have no qualifications to be speaking on this topic, so don't think that I do.
Well, we can all agree that corporations don't need personhood. That's ridiculous. Corporations are not people. That nonsense has to go away. Like I'll say that. I'll stand by that all day long. I think the rights that are afforded corporations has been pretty ugly in the past.
Right.
I'll make that stance, and then cross my arms like I'm worried about defending it.
Yeah.
But that's how infectious the corporate mentality is in America.
And powerful.
It's very, very pervasive. It's
laws,
intimidating.
Laws can get passed that they need passed,
right,
so that they can continue to act however they want,
Mm-hmm.
whenever they want, against and to whoever they want,
and not in the interest of the people. That's what it comes down to. Like, I don't really give a shit about policy or politics. What I care about is people, and people being mistreated and living just horrible lives of destitute servitude, indentured servitude that
myself included,
that just aren't needed.
There'll be no great rising up in the financial realm for me. It's not going to happen.
But that doesn't mean we don't get to be happy, and happiness is not 40 hours under fluorescent lights. I'm sorry, I experienced that, and it's horrible. It's horrible. I wouldn't wish it on my worst
enemy. Should I turn these off?
No, it's okay. We got this nice little orange one right here. It's all right. It's
gotcha.
All right.
Okay.
I just we used to call it was hell with fluorescent lighting. Being stuck in a place like that.
Or
fun.
The lighting of hell is paved with fluorescent light.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yep.
Man, have you ever been in a rock tumbler?
No, I haven't. Although I've seen some things come out of some that were real nice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can you imagine what it'd be like to be in a rock tumbler?
Pain.
I was sitting next to like a heating AC unit for a long time yesterday.
You are now.
It was much larger than that. It was large enough to make me feel like I was in a rock tumbler. And it has taken me hours to just stop rattling. It's been like the weirdest seasickness. And I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that. That's sonically uncomfortable. Like that thing where down in Guantanamo, where they talked about all those people being deathly ill from this acoustic weapon.
I have lots of things around here that could make us sonically uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's very true. So what's your experience with that?
Sonic uncomfortableness?
Yeah. Have you ever been in a situation that was so uncomfortable that you felt hungover from the next day?
Okay, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
So I was playing with this drummer, and I'm not going to say his name, although that just cut out half of the drummers in the world if the other half are females. But anyway, and he was a very passionate man, and he's very passionate about his drumming, and so he did this roll, actually kind of like where we are now. If you were me and I were the drummer, he did this roll that was very fast, and he rolled down the drum kit and wound up on the ride cymbal, and he smacked it really hard so that the ride cymbal bent and flexed up and out and splashed this huge sound right at my face, and it hurt, and I flinched, and it was so loud, and my ears rang afterward, and he he looked at me as if he had the Bruce Lee Enter the Dragon face after him. He went, and I was left with a hangover the next day. My ears were. I felt like I had been in a fight with Bruce Lee. And I thought to myself, now there's a man who's either acutely aware of his surroundings or not aware of his surroundings, and he was lost in the throes of passion to the point where he wounded one of his own men, on the field of battle. And it threw me off for the rest of the night. I was a little affected by it. And honestly, after that night, that's when I began to become more aware of my own hearing and damage as such. I started to really, really pay attention to and feel like I had to talk to the people that I played music with on a regular basis about, hey, let's be appropriate to one another first and then the crowd, please. Or I've got, lots of wattage. I can turn these tube amps up and we'll all hate me for a change. Let's just do that, And it's hard to express that to somebody without hurting their feelings or wounding their ego. There's a lot of egos that go along with musicians making music. Or why would they do it to make so little money? They have to have some validation and strengthening of the soul. Elsewise, why wouldn't we get into something more lucrative like banking or the government? And so comfortable. And so here we are, these people who live without in so many ways of life. The only times that we ever get back is through our art, and so that's something that I've constantly had to tiptoe around with musicians is how to draw what I perceive as what is the best and most appropriate for you guys. If you dare come visit me when I play music, I want you to know that everybody that makes it their way on stage on some level has already been prevaricated and interrogated, and hopefully we all know that they're not going to get on stage and throw a cymbal like a frisbee into the room and slice three people's faces, or worse, much worse. So it's something we don't really think much about, but musicians don't find their way on stage without having first really been through a lot, and hopefully. So I hope that isn't too much. Do we have any comments?
Do have a couple of comments. I didn't get to read the whole thing, but Ravencraft was on there. Bobby, good to see you, man.
Hey, what's up, Chicago Bob?
I missed that the comment, but I forgot to get the Wi-Fi password.
Here, let's see if I
welcome
can find it.
to take a look at it. I think it was really fascinating to feel that kind of hungover. I had never experienced it before, and it was quite a deal. I can imagine seeing that cymbal splash coming and feeling a little bit like you were trapped in Street Fighter. Like, just listening to you tell the story, my feelings rattled, and in the back of my head I heard, "How got the new cut?" Some bullshit like that.
Yeah, it was really uncomfortable, and like I said, we as musicians have to be appropriate to one another first.
Yeah,
and then if there's grandmother to granddaughter talk going on in the front row right in front of us, don't do it to them either. Allow them to have their best and most comfortable experience too. Be kind to your audience.
It raises the question, or at least it makes me think of who the audience is. Sometimes the audience is standing in front of you, and then sometimes you're standing in front of a mirror.
Right.
And sometimes those things can exist at the same time.
Yes.
And
I've played a lot of shows in my lifetime. I've spent many, many, many hours on stage, both in front of the mirror and in front of people. in front of the mirror with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it is something that you have to be acutely aware of every time you get on stage. Who are you playing for, and to what end? Why are you playing for them? So there's it's always something that's in constant question for me every time I get on stage. Last night, I was playing for a group of people, and they're all very kind, and they're happily munching away on their really good seafood at the Point restaurant. It was really a nice time of it. And I was with people that I spent a lot of time on stage with, the Old River String Band, and I love their company, and we all really like each other. And that's a really nice situation. And so we enjoyed ourselves immensely as a group. Everybody had a nice musical experience together. And so that was appropriate for that room. Tonight, I'm going to play with Rhonda Hart at the Purple Parrot Tiki Bar. We'll be playing on stage from 6 to 9 p.m. And we'll probably have some friends come and sit in with us. And that's going to be a very lovely time also. However, because the Purple Parrot is a more open atmosphere, we can be a little bit louder. We can be a little bit more jovial and expressive, and I dare say rowdy closer to 9 o'clock, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a result, it winds up being much more of a festive atmosphere there at the Purple Parrot. Than, not that the Point doesn't get festive, because, well, New Year's Eve at the Point was really off the hook. But the Purple Parrot is just a little bit of a different kind of fun because of, like I said, that open atmosphere is we've got roll up and roll down vinyl plastic doors that zip,
Mm-hmm.
and we've got space heaters that are powered by propane tanks, and the place gets pretty warm. It's nice, so don't worry about the cold tonight. Come on out and let me know you saw this, and we'll have some fun. But it's a different feel. It's more of a less people sitting down and having dinner, and oh look, there's music, and isn't it polite? It's more like people being like, I came to have a nice experience that's going to be fun and rowdy and entertaining, and I dare say bawdy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's just a little bit more of a tiki bar experience and a little bit less of a sit-down dinner experience. Not that there's anything wrong with either one. It depends on what you're in the mood for, and that's why Rhonda and I do so well in that just a little bit more provocative environment. And we also do every Wednesday at the main room, and then we do every Saturday from 3 to 7 at Flip Daddy's in Orange Beach. Rhonda Hart and I. This week we're trying a new experience at the Lillian Community Center as the Hart Strings, H-A-R-T. And in it we've got Dave Gallagher on bass, upright bass. We've got Robin Kingery on the mandolin. Robin is one of the best mandolin players and also plays in the Old River String Band. Bubba! Yeah.
Love you, Bubba.
She also plays in Bubba and Them. She's Bubba. And so Rhonda and I, Robin and Dave will be playing at the Lillian Community Center, and it's going to be really fun too. So if you happen to be a member of the Lillian Community Center or Community Club, I don't remember which one's correct, but come out and hang out with us on Sunday. And tonight, come to the Parrot. Yeah, and tomorrow come to Flip Daddy's.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Good burgers at Flip Daddy's. Yeah.
All of those are great places to hang out. You should check out all of them.
Oh, and I forgot to mention tomorrow I'm playing at the Pleasure Island Tiki Bar with Bob Ravenscraft.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he would be mad because he's on here. Don't forget him.
Right. So half the night, Smokey Otis is going
Smokey!
who's also a member of the Magic Johnsons with me, will be covering the first half of the night while I'm working with Rhonda across town. And then I'll come in and take the second half of the night so that he can then go to play with Jack Robertson at Jack's country music.
Oh, that's a big gig.
Yeah. It'll be a big
Always a big crowd. Always a good time.
Yeah, it'll be a good gig for Smokey. And I think Rhonda Hart is also going to be there for that. So you should go to the Bama tomorrow night as well to check those guys out. Or if you prefer, come hang out with me and Bob at the Pleasure Island Tiki Bar over on off of Canal Road in Orange Beach. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, man.
Good times.
So what are you doing next Halloween?
I'm going to dress up in a kilt and do this a lot.
As well you should.
Yes.
As well you should. I think I'm going to try and make the Parrot tonight. I haven't been over there in a hot minute. I've been missing it. The last time I was there, I think, was that night you and I were there. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about
stand-up comedy.
We were. That was a fun night.
Yeah. Are you still doing the stand-up comedy?
I am. As a matter of fact, I'm going to a show tonight, for those of you interested. Back Porch Comedy over in Pensacola, Paul Fox and Cervantes. Tonight, they have teamed up with Joey Livingston, who has a great show through NCG Studios on YouTube called The Middle of Greatness. His other show, Quality Control. But tonight, they're doing The Middle of Greatness and the Back Porch Showcase kind of simultaneously. And so they're doing a little bit of a talk show and a little bit of a stand-up comedy thing. It's going to be really unique. It's a first. I've never seen anything like it, so it's going to be fun. And all of those people are incredible. You should check all of them out. And I'm doing a private gig tomorrow night, but then at Shizuko's later on this month, or next weekend, there's a big benefit that's being put on over there. I can't remember the name of it, but there are links to it on my page. So definitely check it out. So you can actually come listen to me tell jokes. I'm happy to say I'm on a bill. I've been paid once to nearly bomb. It was incredible, but I'm officially. I guess that officially makes me a professional comedian.
Hey, that's great.
Just don't ask me how much I made, because it wouldn't have covered a bar tab if I had one.
Right.
I have experienced firsthand how little you get paid to do things you truly enjoy.
Right. Yeah.
But it's awesome. And please come out and see us and support us. Back Porch Comedy and at the Back Porch Bar and Grill and Shizuko's, as well as the Blind Mule over in Mobile. Those are all regular comedy spots for Back Porch Comedy. So please come support. Check it out. It's awesome. Awesome. And occasionally I'm funny.
I have one more, not occasionally, that I have to plug, and that is Cobalt in Orange Beach.
Oh yeah, that's a regular.
I've been doing it every Sunday for their brunch for, I believe, 7 years now. Time evades me, but I think it's 7 years, and every Sunday, and with Christina Christian, the fabulous songwriter. Yeah, she's a songwriter and an entertainer and an excellent vocalist and guitarist. You should come check us out. Singer-songwriter Christina Christian and Justin Fobes.
There you go.
It's Sundays brunch. It's good.
No, yeah. I don't have any degrees in marketing. Do you?
No, I have no degrees at all.
Good, then we can get over this PR bullshit.
Okay.
Let's talk about some real stuff. Back to the real stuff.
Oh, good.
Not that I don't want to plug everything, but I got real questions, man.
Okay.
Like like the stuff we were talking about earlier. I just would rather get back to that.
Which stuff?
All of it. The Dan Reeder and the artificial intelligence stuff, and we need to tell the story about Captain Pee Wee football coach.
Oh, right.
And how people are hilarious. Yeah. Do you want to tell the story of the gentleman we kind of sort of didn't meet?
I think it just stems from a lot of humans have a will to dominate a circumstance.
Un momento.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, what's up, man?
What up, Nick? We're
Hey,
live.
Nick. How you doing, man?
Oh, we are live.
Yeah.
Come on, say hello
Hey,
to
I'm
the camera.
sorry, man.
No, it's
I
all
didn't mean
good.
to bust in on the session, but
No, you're cool.
I'm working anyway. I was just going to say, hey.
Hello.
Okay, man.
All right, see you.
Good to see you. Yeah, that was my good friend Nick Bibry. You'll find him on the interwebs as Nick Biebricher, Biebricher.
Bieber. I always mispronounce it because I try and say it phonetically. It's
right.
Biebre.
It's Bibry. Or, yeah, and I think it's much easier that way. Although he might really want to consider changing the spelling so that people can find him easier on the internet. But that's That's another thing. I mean, I would prefer to change my last name to Smith, really. I think.
Are you looking to hide?
Yeah. Well, I just think it'd be so much easier for people to find, actually. You know, like people have never gotten. My last name is Fobes, Fobes. There is no R.
So jealous of your.
It has been. There's no R. It's not Forbes. It's always been the bane of my existence. You know, I show up after driving halfway across the country, you know, in a van full of sweaty dudes pulling a trailer, and I show up, and tonight it's the Justin Fobes band, you know, and so I'm like, but we're the Blues Brothers, you know, and you know, we're the good old Blues Boys Brothers band, you know, so it's just something that happens, and as a result, nobody can find me on the internet either, you know, it's just. There's nothing Googleable that I'm aware of that's Justin Fobes, and no photographs of me associated with it. So I'm pretty sure that I'm the tree that falls in the woods that doesn't hear itself.
No, you say too many witty things that we just need to pick one that you really like and figure out how to plaster that on all your stuff. Like I type truth, love, and peace so often now that if you get on Facebook and put @truth, I'm one of the first things that comes up.
Wow.
It's like, that's amazing. And it's fluke. It won't last for long, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But somebody sent me a screenshot of that, and I was like, oh, I see. I should have paid more attention in that marketing class.
Right.
There's a trick there somewhere.
Mine will probably come up if you type in milk toast. You know. Or also ran. You know.
Also ran.
Yeah, that'll be me.
I don't think you can write a book with that title, though. Can you? I don't know. I guess you can. That'd be a good one.
Or hashtag, what's the word I'm looking for? Nominal anonymity.
Nominal anonymity.
That'd be
like
me.
it.
Yeah.
That sounds like Ozymandias' arch nemesis. Like if Rorschach hadn't have been available.
See? Yeah.
His character foil.
Right. That's the guy that drew a bunch of vaginas. Right? Yeah. I think I know who you're talking about. I've seen his work on the internet.
On the interwebs.
Yeah.
The interwebs. So, Coach, pay attention to me.
Yeah.
My quick anecdotal take on
Hang on. That's how he did it.
I'm sure he was a championship coach.
Yeah.
That was too funny.
He came up and started by asking us questions, and then he didn't wait for us to answer but as he began to tell us about who he was and why he deserved to ask us the questions. Then he walked off.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
My version of the story is that inside our very nice bartendress.
Should we say her name?
I would rather not. I don't want to pull that down. But we were at the Jellyfish. People saw us at the Jellyfish. We can say that.
Yeah.
And if she wants to speak up, we will gladly
Good
acknowledge
sushi
her.
in Perdido Key.
Yeah. And we had a blast hanging out at the Jellyfish. But I think what happened was the bartendress had commented on my kilt. And because this is what he said when he walked out.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a conversation that happened in which he was not being paid attention to justly in his eyes.
Right.
And so as he left, he took the time to stop and express that. Mm-hmm. Because he opened with, she said you were wearing a skirt, which I doubt she said. Most women are very highly aware of
the differences between a kilt
skirt and a kilt.
Yeah.
And so that was the first thing out of his mouth.
If it doesn't zip up the back, it's not a skirt.
And women know these things. They've known them a lot longer than I have.
Yeah.
And so that was the first thing out of his mouth. And then it was immediately obvious that it was, you ruined my good time, and I had to listen to somebody else talk about you when I wanted to talk about me. And so now I'm going to tell you about why I should have gotten that attention instead of you.
Right.
That's how I interpreted that whole thing.
Right. And your assessment was not invalid. I mean, it was absolutely.
No, just different perspectives. That's what I was thinking.
But hold on. I'm sorry.
That's basically what this guy did.
Yeah.
He walked out and just aggrandized himself as what. The most significant thing that stood out, and as he was listing his resume, was I coached football.
Right.
I really don't remember the rest.
Yeah.
I really don't remember the rest. And then he coached football, and he was a big dickhead because he went with his buddy to New Orleans, and he had this hat it's actually a Scottish cap, style driver cap, and it was really nice. And he said, I found it at a shop in New Orleans. My buddy and I were there, and they were brand new, and they were on sale, so we bought them all. Which is a dicky thing to do, because the only thing you can do with all of them is turn around and sell them, which means you just want to price them up, and unless you're going to turn around and give them away. That would have been okay.
Or
not what he did.
Or wear them.
Which
means he's got a different one for every day of the week.
Still dickish. Not as dickish.
Presuming
but
they
still
had
dickish.
14 of them, and he got 7, and his friend got 7,
Anybody that but you can only wear one at a time, So
That's true.
It's a little greedy. At the very least, it's a little greedy. But anyway, so that was the only other thing that stood out. This guy had gone to New Orleans, and his buddy and him found these hats on sale. And because you had complimented him on his hat for having some plaid in it, since he didn't know what a kilt was, or had at least chosen not to use the word kilt, that he needed to tell a story about how he and his friend cleaned out this place that had these hats. Because, when you're balling and you got big money, you always brag about being able to buy a store out of hats.
Yeah.
That's serious cash, man.
So he's obviously a very successful football coach. Enough money to buy out all the hats.
Man. I wonder how many hats it was. He said it was less than 20. He said it was like,
I don't remember him saying less than 20.
17. He said it won a lot of them. They had just gotten in a shipment, and we're not talking like hundreds of hats.
Yeah.
It was definitely less than
they
2
were
dozen.
genuine.
That's right, but they were on sale.
Yeah.
They were on sale,
Which,
and they were so on sale they couldn't pass it up.
Yeah. I mean, hey, man, I can't really begrudge the guy for that. I mean, if I find something I really like and I realize, like, hey, I'm never going to get this opportunity again, I'm going to go ahead and buy it. And I don't know what it is, if I can afford it, which I can't. But if I could, I'd try.
You're not swinging big bankroll. You don't have hat money, Fobes. Come on, man.
I play the guitar for a living in Alabama. Well,
you can't even get hat money as a musician. It's horrible.
No, I mean there is no large bankroll. I'm sorry. It's but the other side of it is I don't really have any complaints about life. I think that it's very warm and friendly where I'm able to play the guitar, and I really appreciate that, which is why I think I continue doing it. I mean, if people were throwing tomatoes at me, I'd probably be like, well, I guess I need to go figure out how to drive a forklift or something.
Well, it would still be funny, just like old boy coming up and preaching at us for a few minutes and then walking off without even waiting for us to respond, or introducing himself. Like, one of the first comments I made after he walked away was, "Did the guy even say his name?" Like,
no.
there was no feigning introductions or anything, and it was humorous, but it goes to show how we were talking earlier about perspective
and how cold is
character.
charity.
Yeah,
because frankly, we haven't had a lot of nice things to say about him since his experience with us came up on the show. But ultimately, it really does speak to the frailties of the human endeavor, and that is that here's a person who felt so slighted over such a small thing that he needed to carry that slight on and then begrudge us because of his poor experience. And that is an unfortunate side effect of being a human. So often we feel put upon and slighted in daily life, and it makes us want to make someone else feel the shame and the I want to say the morality of the experience, where, okay, it would be wrong of me not to share this with you because you didn't know how you hurt me with your skirt. And so the guy has a real need at that point to show you how he had been wronged, and his kind also, the football coach kind have been wronged by you, and that's why I bring up morality. I think is to really help to illustrate that angle. Humans just need to be loved, Compton.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. Well, and to tell the rest of the story, as soon as the guy walked off, we immediately chuckled to each other. I remember doubling over and trying not to laugh at him and waiting until he walked away. But
what was
it wasn't. It's not like you see. It's not Facebook fake nonsense where you yell at people.
What if he gave us?
You laugh at it and you move on.
What if he gave us a gift?
He did give us a gift.
He gave us
a beautiful gift.
He gave us the gift of mirth and joy. And
it didn't involve us yelling at him. He walked away,
Yeah.
and we enjoyed our perspective on it. His perspective on it, I'm sure, was completely different, and he's welcome to it. But the bigger picture is it's funny. Like, a lot of people want to get worked up and angry about stuff, and we even said after the fact there was no point to try and tell that guy anything or to try and rebut. It was totally pointless. And we talked about whether or not that was intellectual property on his part, and the fact that was that a performance piece, was that just his opinion, and so it's not a matter of confronting someone and creating conflict, as it is. In the real world, you really just have to chalk it up to it's funny as hell, because the alternatives, as you pointed out, there's no alternative that is any better than laugh it off and move on.
Yeah,
because all the other alternatives are ugly, and nobody should behave that way in public. For sure, it's bad enough that people do it on the internet, but there's my putting down public violence. If anybody wants to hear it, and don't be mean to people intentionally. That's never nice. Unless they're a football coach that insists on you breaking down even though you've never met him.
Right. Well, he's probably retired, and he's only left with the vestigial essences of his experience. And as a result, it was him breaking us down. That was the one thing he remembered how to do well, out of his experience. And we missed out on the building up part.
But I hate that he didn't introduce himself. Now I'm a little sorry that I can't ask him questions.
Yeah.
I want to pick his brain, and I want to hear him tell football coaching stories.
Right.
And
like that time he lost all of his seniors and they went from second grade to third grade. Just gutted his whole roster.
I hear they're rebuilding well, though.
They're rebuilding well, yeah. That was probably really hard for him.
Oh man!
But ultimately, I think if the circumstance had been different, we would come to value him as a person. We would probably really see him as a good man, and
because you have to be, right.
But we weren't allowed to have that experience because he withdrew himself from the situation before we could. And but you have to go ahead and imagine. It's unfortunate, you and I both work in crowds on a regular basis, but you have to go ahead and imagine past that moment where you cease your contact with somebody, whether you want to or not, and you have to see them as a good person ultimately. Or why are we here having this experience together?
Yeah.
What's the purpose? Why is, if you can't love your fellow man for who they are and for who they potentially could be, if you're not seeking to find the best in them, then what's a heaven for? I go back to that. What is a heaven for if not to exceed the grasp of man? So
that's a big one. Heaven, man. I had something I wanted to talk about. Heaven, that's a great distraction. When you think about Nirvana and heaven, and what are some of the other
country
incarnations?
Club? The country club.
Country club is heaven.
Yeah.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Or I thought I was in heaven, but it was just a parking lot of a 7-Eleven. Right?
It's an interesting thing that faith does. Go ahead.
What are you wanting to get back to? What was your initial thought? Can you get back to it?
Well, yeah, you had just listening to the way that you talked about that reminded me of people being overly sensitive and not realizing that everything starts out very crude.
Right.
And that's not meant to be rude, it's crude. There's a difference.
Yeah.
One is primal, and one is ostentatious of the rude, of the vulgar sort.
The skillful entertainer would have made the person feel more comfortable at first,
Sure.
and lulled them into a complacency to the point where at that moment they could then surprise them.
Yes.
And that would have been, but he didn't feel like he had time for that. Obviously, he had somewhere very important to be, so he had to leave, and so we didn't have time to get that making nice and the small talk, the breaking of the ice, as you will. None of that was able to be developed at that point. It was strictly,
There's no. But it makes me think of the joke telling process. Like I've noticed recently several different comedians. While I'm thinking of that.
We have
Sorry.
more comments.
I'm sure, but I've noticed several different comedians have talked about how to work extemporaneously or to work off the cuff, do crowd work, to just respond to what people say. A lot of people steer away from it, and these comics say because it's rude. Because their reactions are mean, and their first response is to be funny.
Oh, we got to say hello to my
base
buddy
level.
Kyle Parker. Hey, Kyle.
Yeah, throw him out there. Kyle Parker!
Hey, buddy.
What's going on, man?
Nick's had a lot to say, too, since we got into this. So, Nick's telling us not to cry. Don't cry, man.
Who? What?
Nick Bibry.
Oh.
Don't cry. So
Do I cry often?
no,
I'm sorry.
no, he was probably talking to me.
Are my tears evident?
I'm real bad about it. I'll go suck my thumb in the corner.
I want to whine. I used to whine about shit until I realized I could suck my own dick. And then it's kind of a waste of time.
Yeah, after that, you're just sort of like, leave me alone. I'm busy.
It's kind of when I quit giving a fuck about what other people thought.
I'm busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The world would be a better place if
it would be.
a lot of people could,
Or
But pot's a second, a good second best in a lot of cases. That works well for a lot of people medicinally.
Really, I think the best circumstance that I've seen involving that ability to tell people off or whatever is from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah, thanks for the fish, man.
With so when they locate the gun that. When you fire it at your enemy, it makes them feel how you feel.
Yeah, the empathy gun.
The empathy gun, and I think it's a fantastic metaphor for real life situations. Why would leaders of an army before they fight come out to the center of the battlefield to talk? And maybe that was to say, "Hey, do you feel like I feel? No, man, we're gonna have to fight." And then they get back. So, but yeah, it's the "Do you feel like I feel?" Or do you feel
Peter
like
Frampton?
I do?
I thought the exact same thing. I was singing that.
So, do you feel like
cool.
I do?
He's a really nice guy.
So,
I've thought about that in years. Anyway.
Yeah, so that's really I think the best example of a metaphor that kind of would have made the situation. What if he came out there and shot us with his gun? As we're standing outside of the jellyfish, and now all of a sudden we're like, I remember being a football coach. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Or maybe I feel like I was slighted when I was inside.
Oh no, that was I see that happen regularly. Like one of my favorite things, and one of the reasons I love wearing a kilt, is because I see guys do the testosterone response. It's never a nice, polite compliment. It's always, "Hey man, I like your skirt." And there's just no way to say that politely. And their girlfriend, the best moment of all times, is when their girlfriend stops and corrects them and says, "No, it's a kilt." So I'm very familiar with this response from people. It's hilarious.
I tried a similar experience in my own life. I had blue hair for a while.
Ooh.
And so what I discovered is I'm older than Compton, by the way. This happened in another lifetime. If any of you remember me from that lifetime, I'm very sorry for the way I behaved. But
now I don't want to press you on it.
Right, but I did. I had blue hair, and I remember I rather relished the way that people would treat me. Now I didn't just have blue hair. I also had red, and I had aquamarine. I had white at one point, and so it's just a come on in.
Okay, say esto. Hello, we're live.
We're live.
Welcome.
This is where I do yoga.
Oh.
All right.
Cool. So go do yoga inside while we're on the internets. By the way, Christina Christian, she's live too. Yep. So anyway, I feel like that time in my life has passed, but I did experience a lot of as I lived in crowds, under lights and stuff, and I did experience a change in the way people acted around me and perceived me as I would step off the stage. I used to be able to just drift into, like we were talking about, banal anonymity, but now with the blue hair, I would step into the crowd and people would stand back and look at me as I passed through the crowd going to the bathroom, presumably, or whatever, when I was on break, off the stage. But that's something that I had experienced, I guess, for maybe the better part of a year of my life. I had all these different colored hairs, and so I can kind of appreciate where you're coming from with it. And as a social experiment, it's a grand one.
Well, it's fun. Yeah. It's fun. I highly recommend social experiments. Yellow Crocs, and there were plenty of social experiments that came before the kilt.
Yeah.
But the kilt's where I'm at right now.
Right. The guitar worked for me. I just kept that.
Well, that's requires some skill. That's awesome.
Well, no,
I just practice putting on a towel. That's as tough as my solo ever gets.
Well, it didn't start with skill. It just started with a guitar.
Oh, so, yeah?
Yeah. But
just towing a guitar around.
And eventually I figured out, hey, if I do this, it makes that sound. Okay, well, I'll try this one over here. And so it turned into something I used a lot. It's a nice prop.
Oh, man, I just don't think of it as a prop. It's
really, if I had the gun, if I had the empathy gun, I wouldn't need a guitar,
That's true.
If I could just simply shoot it at the audience and say, hey, do you? And then I probably would. Yeah, I probably would. I mean, that would be so much simpler than the hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours I spent, not looking at the rest of the world as it spun around me and focusing on this little thing that I've spent so much time fooling with, and family members going, not that again, come on, pull your head out of it, seriously, you could have a life, but no, you're on the end of the bed doing nothing with your life, well, I'm not doing nothing, I'm playing, man, this sounds like Rush Moving Pictures, how can you not hear that? Listen,
But no one else was as excited as you.
Nobody was as excited as I was. So I just continued to, and that has seemed to become my modus operandi.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Your MO is a very unique one. There aren't many people that challenge my "Are you with me?" You know what I mean? I don't have to second guess myself when most people say, "Do you follow what I'm saying?" But even the example that you were given earlier when you were talking about all the AI stuff, I had to double check and make sure that I was keeping up with what you were saying, which is awesome. I love being challenged by some of your philosophical musings.
Well,
it's of great value.
Compton, it's of great value to me too. I really, truly cherish your friendship, or our friendship. I've always really relished the fact that you and I can get together in just the oddest of circumstances and still pull out the most abstract thing that we that's on our mind, floating around, and pull it out and go, hey, what do you think about this? And then we both kind of turn and face it, and we both talk about that thing, and share our thoughts with one another. It's been a very good relationship. I've known you for 4 or 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, about that.
And we've had a lot of fun. And like I said, the most
distant.
We're in circumstances that are so far removed from what we're actually talking about. Like, I could ever afford to create an AI, or even propagate one. Like, I would have a computer that would be fast enough to do it. No, but I do remain fascinated and mystified by the world that's going on around us. I think that might be one of my strongest suits is that I'm interested. Well, because of my interest and the fact that I only work 4 hours a day allows me another 4 hours to do things like this right now.
Which is awesome.
And,
dude, I saw a really cool documentary recently called Alpha Go. Are you familiar? I don't know if you do documentaries.
No, but I'm going to do something that's going to...
Yeah, thank you. That heater is toasting me.
$16 from Dollar General.
Yeah, man. It's a monster heater. It's
if
awesome.
it starts to
bet
get cold, you can shut it.
So we were talking about AI, and AlphaGo is the program that these guys created to play the board game Go. Are you familiar with Go? Are you familiar with the Deep Blue and the chess thing?
No, none of that.
Okay. So the background is that IBM, I think, created the Deep Blue program that beat Kasper Asmarov or something like that. It was some chess grand champion.
Right.
It beat... Kasparov won the first time.
And they didn't just play one match.
No, it was a tournament. Yeah, it was a series.
Yeah.
It was a series of games.
Yeah.
And the AI didn't really handily beat Kasparov until it had the opportunity to be reprogrammed. So it wasn't really until round 2 that the program was more, if you could say, more competent than he was at playing chess. But it was doubly as smart from the programming. Anyway, that was the chess thing. He didn't handily get beat. That's not the right way to put that. Anyway, so they built one for Go. Go is it's much more complicated than chess. It's orders of magnitude more complicated than chess.
Okay.
And they built artificial intelligence that would play Go, and they beat. And not just kinda, but beat handily a human world champion, like a 9th Dawn champion. That's how serious Go is. They rank these people the same way people in martial arts rank instructors, by the Dawn system, which is absolutely amazing. So they were successful, and to get to that level of complexity, we're talking like for every move, this thing would evaluate hundreds of strategies and hundreds of potential moves. And then it would calculate the hundreds of possibilities and the percentage of success of each of those moves. So just crazy amounts of intelligence. And this thing isn't even artificial intelligence. Like, it's not general intelligence. It's just doing this one thing.
Right.
But it owned this guy.
Well,
and we're doing that stuff right now.
It had to have been programmed
Right.
by probably a panel of intelligences.
There's a whole team of people behind the scenes making this thing happen, for sure. But but that's also one step away from Google has created the first artificial intelligence that's been given the mandate, or being programmed to create an artificial intelligence program. It's been charged with rewriting its own program in a way that it would be able to then generate some type of artificial intelligent offspring. So there's a robot that's working on that problem right now.
Yeah.
So that goes from playing Go really, really well to, like we were talking about, this thing injecting its genetics into the population, Battlestar Galactica, Cylon sabotage style, to where you could end up having whoever owns the artificial intelligence code that combines with the DNA ends up owning humanity. To tie back into what we were talking about earlier.
And yes, it's a terrifying thought that we may have artificial human intelligences walking around among us right now and not be aware of it.
How weird would that be?
Case in point.
Football coach.
Yeah.
Football coach.
So don't discount the people that perplex you. There's no telling what's going on behind the scenes.
They never cease to astonish.
We don't know. He might have been an actual alien. He might have been from another planet, and the only thing he really knew how to say, he said to us.
He was just fucking with us.
Yeah.
We just got played by an alien.
Yeah, we've spent an hour talking about this since, you know. Yeah. And that's an hour.
Now I feel a little dirty.
and it's an hour that we could have spent, you know, doing our taxes or something productive for society.
I know, right?
You know?
There were some numbers that needed to be crunched somewhere. I'm sure.
Somewhere. So that's you can't ever discount the things we don't understand or the people that we don't understand. There's no telling what their circumstance is.
Perspective, man, like you said earlier. Perspective makes a whole matter.
It really does. And not just perspective, but perception.
Yeah.
And I feel like perception, you know, as
we were talking about that on ideals earlier.
Well, you know, the thing that's fascinating me right now or a thing that's fascinating me right now, besides the myriad of possibilities for dominant resolutions, John Cochran. The thing that fascinates me right now is, sorry, that was a music theory reference, but
it took me a minute too. Don't feel bad.
But what if ghosts are simply multi-dimensional beings drifting through our limited perception of reality? But really, it's just normal for them, and they're just walking through Publix, you know, getting themselves some sushi in their minds or whatever, some Publix sushi or something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And but in our minds, you know, we see this thing drift through our room that's luminescent and ethereal, and then disappears after, you know, the cupboard bangs or something, you know?
I want to know which dimension is running the perpetual Civil War reenactment, and why so many of these ghosts are wearing old military uniforms.
I haven't heard about that.
Every time I think of ghosts, I think of old haunted houses and some guy that died in some bloody ancient war.
Incidentally, the Magic Johnsons are playing on February the 4th. On February the 4th for Mardi Gras, or actually I think that's Joe Cane Day, but I think we're going to be at the Alabama and that day, and we're playing a song for Mardi Gras that happens to be about a ghost from New Orleans, or New Orleans,
however you pronounce it.
Yeah, if you're Tommy Mazzullo. New Orleans. Sorry, Tommy.
I miss this song, the Toyland song.
Yeah, so we're doing a song about a ghost in New Orleans, and it's a party song. It's fun. But,
that makes me think of Andrew Bird and Bedlam Ballroom.
I don't know either of those references.
There was a Stephen Foster song.
Don't know that one either.
It's about a ghost. I can't recall. Anyway, Andrew Bird is from the Cherry Poppin' Daddies, not Cherry Poppin' Daddies, Squirrel Nut Zippers. Excuse me.
Ah, okay.
He's the guy. That's one of his projects, but I call it gypsy jazz, like folky. He plays violin.
I've covered one of their songs. I am familiar.
Okay,
with
so you get that whole vibe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. It's like he's awesome.
Blue Angel.
Yeah,
that's the song that I covered.
It's a great song.
Yeah, you can find it on Cat Certain's Radio Avalon. Just search under my name, and it'll come up as Justin Fobes Jazz.
So, that's awesome.
Yep,
that's awesome.
That's a great song because we have the Blue Angels here.
Oh yes,
in Perdido Key.
Yeah, Pensacola.
Dreaming of a blue angel. Yeah, that's a great song. Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. I'd never put that together. But
unfortunately I did. In life, I assure you. You know, like jazz. Anyway, do you know any Merle Haggard? Okay.
That's horrible.
Well, no, that's just the way of the world we live
Well, and we were talking about how different musicians that we know are accomplished at their trade and their craft and giving people what it is that they want, and how difficult that can be.
Yes,
how a lot of people don't get the credit they deserve for putting on a damn fine show.
Well, it's a strange thing. We're all, as humans, we're all so very good at things that we're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And but finding the things that other people will be interested in for us to become good at, that's really the big trick in our modern American free society.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, at first I really struggled with it. I'd say the first decade of my musical career, I wasn't really sure how to go about doing that. And but eventually what I wound up doing is I began to pair myself with people who were obviously better at it than I was. And the next thing you know, because I really liked the person that was better at it than me and liked doing things with them, I became interested in them and how they do things. And next thing you know, I've had 100 mentors in my lifetime.
Best way to learn.
People that I've played with over the years who are light years ahead of me in so many ways, doing so many different things. And if you think about it, when you're going and training your mind on somebody for 4 hours while you're on stage with them, eventually you're going to pick something up. You're going to learn something. So, at this point in my life, I've played with, 100, 200 people who are way better at what they do than I'll ever be. And so I get the benefit of having music lessons often, as well as experiencing awesome crowds and people who are, very kind and benevolent, venues who take care of the musicians. And, I might not make a lot of money, but, I have a feeling that if I really needed to go get health care, which I don't right now, but if I did, I could probably figure out how to get that done pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
If I were... And so, little things like that. When a venue says yes, you can have a free meal with your job here. Oh man, well that's $10 I don't have to spend. Or it's a great thing. The add-ons that go on with the music industry. Or somebody says, oh, you need a place to stay. Well, I've got a friend who has a condo that's not being used right now. I'm sure he'd take something, anything, And,
that raises a really good point. When you think about how you may not live high on the hog, but you can live really easily, and how charity plays a role in what starving artists are, and how that lifestyle perpetuates. But it doesn't mean unhappiness. To do some couch surfing and to accept the gratitude of the people around you.
Yeah.
It leads to a kind of happiness that maybe that $10 wouldn't have bought as tasty a meal as that meal tastes in gratitude.
Right.
And in kindness.
Yeah.
And what I wonder about how impacted our culture has become by doing less of that and making it more difficult for people to realize that reality. Like, even if there's not a lot of money out there to be made, I feel like so many people don't have the opportunity to go out and just experience that kind of life. And I think a lot of people would be bettered by experiencing that kind of life.
Well, it's, I have friends that I grew up with, and they get a different boat every year. And that's what makes them happy is, flipping through the catalog, finding the one that they want, and they go and they shop and get the one that they want, and then they go, drive around in it. I never was interested in that. I'll go. I have friends who have boats, and I like to ride on the boats as much as the next guy does. But I never thought to myself, oh, I need to go make X amount of extra money so that I can go buy this boat and spend my extra money so I can take, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a different focus,
Mm-hmm.
While they're spending their time figuring out, and I just use the boat as a metaphor. It doesn't necessarily have to be a boat. It could be anything. But I might be more interested in finding just the right tool for the job. Like the other day, I was Googling. I wear out guitars. I play them so much that they just simply fall apart in my hands eventually. They get beat up and banged on and stuff. And so I'm always trying to find a really inexpensive guitar that I can justify taking, into the tent stage at the Floribama on a Saturday night where there's hundreds of people who are rowdy, and next thing you know there's a bachelorette party that needs to get on stage so that they can have their party and stuff, which is great. I love it. But when it happens, I don't want to have something that's I'm really afraid is going to get broken. I need to have something that's a tool. It's a work tool, and so I'm searching for a guitar right now, something that I can not destroy, something that's very sturdy but sounds good and it plays well, because I don't want to have to tear up my knuckles if I don't have to, trying to play a guitar that doesn't play well. Yeah. And which I often do, because I'm on stage for 25 hours a week, and it takes a toll on the knuckles. It really does.
Well, Ed was telling me about Guy Clark yesterday and educating me, and talking about how fascinating it is that something that lived and resonated with vibration now resonates with the vibration of something else's message, and how that's a really cool esoteric kind of thought. But that led me to think about asking you whether or not you would ever play, or what is the difference between playing a wooden guitar and something that's made of synthetic material that might be more durable.
Well, I'm glad you asked. I have owned a guitar that had a synthetic bowl back, so it was curved and stuff, and it was loud. It was really loud, which was great. But as a result, it would roll out from under me, and you'll hear people complain about these style guitars and stuff. And so ultimately I couldn't quite get the ergonomics comfortable enough for myself to where I was able to. I want to be able to lean on it if I want to.
Yeah.
And these things, it makes it hard to do that because of the way they're shaped. But you know what? That guitar is extremely stable. It was older than I was, and it was a really cool instrument, the one that I owned. I have a friend who has one that's made, I think, mostly out of carbon fiber, and his is completely impervious to weather changes and stuff. And I mean, completely. I mean, you could probably use it as a boat paddle, and then pull it right out of the water and start playing it, and it's maintain its shape, And that is fascinating to me. If I were to suddenly wake up tomorrow and be in the plateau in the northern part of Colorado where I'm 2,000 feet above sea level, or 8,000 feet above sea level, then all of a sudden this guitar that I just used as a boat paddle, though it might have ice crystals on it now and salt deposits, would still sound just like it did the day before. And, but wooden guitars, they don't necessarily work that way. For instance, most of the time, the woods that are used in wooden guitars, they come from alpine regions. They grow at the green, evergreen level of above sea level, and which is a zone. It's got a range of 2,000 feet above sea level to 10,000. I don't know. And but we're at sea level here, and those alpine woods don't.
It's not home.
It's not home. It's like it's 112 degrees out here. Is it time for me to ignite? That's what they're thinking. But it's not home for these guitars, and yet that's what we use around here. As the predominant tool for singer-songwriters, and not as many keyboard players. Although the ones we have in this area are absolutely amazing, and you should check them out if you can. I can think of a couple, but. The acoustic guitars, that's the sound that everybody gravitates toward. I guess that's what Guy Clark used, and so, and that's what people associate with, the genre, which is great. But that guitar hates being on a pier in the middle of July, 4 feet above sea level, and 100-degree temperature and 100% humidity. That guitar starts to do things it wasn't designed to do, and it's hard for us because as it swells, absorbing all this moisture, it becomes unruly. You can't make it do what you want it to do, and that's when you start tearing up your knuckles and breaking guitar strings and having to overwork the machine as well as yourself to get it to do right. So right now I'm embroiled in a search to find a guitar that I would like for it to be made out of wood. I really would, because I like the sound, and other people seem to immediately project their associations when they see me on stage with a wooden guitar of what they think that makes the audience comfortable, and you bring them in and allow them to feel comfortable and complacent, and not necessarily complacent, but you allow them to feel where they are welcome, and then you can surprise them.
Yeah.
But it takes a while for them to identify with you first.
It's always tricky winning an audience over.
So having a guitar that's
looks the part,
innocuous and looks the part, and
makes sense.
Well, then they can accept you more readily.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Have you found any favorites yet? Do you want to check the Facebook comments and see if the guitar players have chimed in with tons of advice for you?
Yeah, we look. My friend Jonathan Pouzon has a guitar that I really like, and it's made by a company in Canada. And I've been looking for one used. I hope that I can afford, which I can't. But if I could afford one that I could work with, it would be a good match for me, I think.
Nice.
And they're twice what I would like to spend, but I guess it would be the difference between me having a $15 lunch and having a $5 lunch for, a few months. So.
Yeah. Bologna.
Yeah.
That's what I think when I think budget food.
Yeah.
Not that I ever eat bologna, but that's what comes to mind.
Right. But I could probably manage that. I could probably do that. In fact, that's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to
fry some bologna.
No, I'm just gonna go to the grocery store and pick something up that's cheap.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I love those rotisserie chickens they got at Publix.
Yeah.
Oh man, I tear those things up.
That's 2 days right there.
Yeah, man.
2 days.
They make this smoked Gouda cheese, macaroni and cheese.
Right.
That is delicious. Publix Deli. Just not that we get paid for this, but yeah. It's awesome. Go eat the tiramisu. It's delicious.
They have tiramisu at Publix?
Oh yeah, and it's not like legit Italian tiramisu. It's more like a cakey tiramisu, but it is so good. Like it's really well done. Publix doesn't slouch, man. They make good stuff. I think they're I've heard some people say some not so nice things about them, so I'm sure there are things that I don't know. But they're who's here, and so that's where I go to, and they always treat me well, so I'm not going to complain.
They've got great customer service.
Yeah.
All the employees, if you ask them a question, they're ready to drop what they're doing to help you.
Mm-hmm. They're all great.
Yeah.
They're all great. I think it's wonderful how often they insist on trying to help me carry stuff out. It's like because now I'm think I'm old enough to be offended by that, and so I question whether or not I should be offended by it. Like, do I look incapable? Even though that's not even close to what they're suggesting.
Yeah.
But it's they're always on top of it. They're really nice.
Yeah. I've never allowed anybody to carry mine for me either.
I just can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah.
It feels I don't know.
I'm like, you don't have time to do that. Do something that's valuable. I can do this. I'm a big strong man.
Yeah. It's like thank you, but I got this. I got this. So yeah, Publix tiramisu. It's awesome. It's delicious. Now you're making me hungry.
Right.
Where's my drinky drink going?
Compton, how are we doing on time? I'm concerned that I might have responsibilities that I need to tend to before I go on stage tonight.
I will let you off the hook then, because we are at 88 minutes.
Okay.
And I don't have a time limit, so I could keep you here for a really long time.
I'm learning a bunch of songs to play with.
No, I get it.
With Rhonda Hart right now, and I've got more work that I have to do to.
Well, give us the nickel dime rundown on your regular spots and how to find your music, since we didn't play anything or anything like that.
Oh, right.
Tell people how to find you.
Oh, okay.
Before we get out of here.
My name is Justin Fobes, F as in Frank, O, B as in boy, E, S as in Sally. There is no R in my last name.
It's not a magazine.
It's not a magazine. It's just Fobes. It's not Forbes. I wish it were Forbes. I would be a lot easier to find on the internet, I think, if that, because there's so many posts of
But you can
Justin
donate
Fobes.
to the GoFundMe page to change Justin's name to Forbes.
That's a great idea. And so now that that's been said, I play every Wednesday in the main room at the Floribama from 6 to 10 with Rhonda Hart. I play every Thursday at the Point Restaurant on Innerarity Point Road with the Old River String Band, and that consists of Christina Christian, Daryl Roberts, and Robin Kingry. I play every Friday evening at the Purple Parrot Resort Tiki Bar with Rhonda Hart, and then every Saturday at Flip Daddy's in Orange Beach. It's a new spot next to the Ruby Slipper, in between the Ruby Slipper and Live Babe. Mm-hmm. And I play that with Rhonda Hart also, and that's 3 to 7 in the afternoons. And then every Sunday at brunch at Cobalt, 11 to 2 with Christina Christian in Orange Beach. And then Sunday evenings I mix in other things. Saturday evenings I mix in other things. This Saturday evening I'll be playing with Chicago Bob Ravenscraft at the Pleasure Island Pleasure Island Tiki Bar, and that's in Orange Beach also. And then this Sunday evening I'll be playing with the we're going to call it the Heartstrings, but it's Rhonda Hart, Robin Kingry, and Dave Gallagher, and we'll be playing at the Lillian Community Center or Club.
You said club. Is it open to the public? It's not a private thing?
I think it's a private thing. You have to press a button on the door to get in, but membership is really cheap.
Oh, it's one of those kind of deals. You membership at the door kind of thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
And
cool. Kind of like a strip club.
Maybe.
No.
But
there's some bars that do that. Anyway.
There are great benefits to joining.
Jokes, people.
Yeah, there are benefits to joining the Lillian Community Center. They've got great facilities. They have lots of parties and lots of. So if you live in the area, it'd be a great place to be a member. Not just parties, but they do fundraisers for the local community. And
it sounds like the kind of place I could find a bridge game.
They do have the thing that you slide.
Shuffleboard?
It's up and it's off the ground, and it's like sand and the little weights.
Mm-hmm.
And, they have that. I've played that before there.
I want to go curling. Have you ever been curling?
Where's it going to be that cold?
I don't give a shit. I got a car.
Let's
go north.
All right. I bet we could find a great curling match in Minnesota.
My friends went out to Denver and went curling, and that was the only thing I regretted about not going on the trip. Not my buddy's bachelor party, just curling.
Curling.
It's a horrible thing for me to say. I'm such an asshole.
You missed the curling.
I did. I missed it.
Boy, I
think that's because I like cheese, though, and they sound like curds. And
I have watched the Olympic trials this year, the curling Olympic trials.
Yeah, the Olympics are traumatizing to me. That's why I got run over.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Sorry.
I was just trying to wrap my head around the game. Why does this work? Why is it good? Hey, we're over 90 minutes, right?
We are.
Goodbye, everybody.
We are.
It's been fun, and come see me tonight at the Parrot with Rhonda. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you, Compton, for
spread the word.
Me,
Thank you. Look forward to doing this again soon.
Enjoyed it. Yeah.
So Facebook Live, Alvita Zane, YouTube, Alvita Zane, and
should we end it with a